Welcome everyone to Project Honda Civic Si, my new track build. This is a 2010 Honda Civic Si sedan. It's pretty much bone stock and it's been my daily driver for the past 4 years now. Why did I choose a 2-generation-old Civic Si as my new track build? Well, it's actually rather simple. I've been tracking my 135i for the past 5 years, and frankly, I wanted something different, a new challenge. And between the two cars, they couldn't be more different either. They're actually polar opposites.
The 135i is a very powerful rear-wheel drive car, and this Honda Civic is a low-power front-wheel drive car, obviously. Now, if you're saying to yourself, Honda Civic, boring, think again. This is one of the last high RPM naturally aspirated Hondas. Under the hood is the K20 Z3 engine, which revs out to 8,300 RPM and sounds pretty gnarly doing it. That engine is bolted to one of the slickest shifting 6-speed manual transmissions around with a helical limited slip differential. Oh, and out of the box, it's a pretty adept handler too. I campaigned the car in stock class SCC at Autocross a few years back with great success, so I know it's got potential.
Now, Honda stopped producing the 8th generation Civic and the K20 Z3 engine in 2011, making the shift towards lower RPM, torquier, and eventually turbocharged engines that we see today. Those engines are cool, but I just don't think they have the same personality as this old K20 Z3. So, you may be wondering, what are the goals for this car? It's a project after all. Well, actually, I have 3 of them. 1, get as much seat time as possible. These cars are pretty bulletproof supposedly, so I'm hoping the consistency of that naturally aspirated engine means that I can take this into the track and absolutely thrash it all the time. 2, this one's kind of corny, I know, but I want to try and relearn the joy of track day driving. The BMW was so high-strung and so powerful and so edgy to drive, it became more of a chore, constantly trying to keep it running and keep it in good shape all the time. And with this, I'm hoping I can really just go to the track and have fun, because that's what going to the track is all about, having fun at the end of the day. And last but not least, number 3, having fun is the most important part, but so are chasing down lap times, becoming a better driver. So I'm going back to basics with this low-power front-wheel drive car, and I have one specific goal in mind: chasing down the Honda Civic Type R, especially at my local track, the streets of Willow Springs. After talking to a few local Type R owners, it seems that a decent lap time for an average weekend warrior driver is around a 125 to a 126 when you go around the streets of Willow clockwise, and around a 126 to a 127 when you run the track counterclockwise. Both of those times are scorching fast for a front-wheel drive car, or any car for that matter. I'm expecting this Civic out of the box to be about 6, 7, maybe even 8 seconds a lap slower than that. But I suppose there's only one way to find out. Well, actually, there is one more thing we need to talk about before we go to the track, and that's tires. While my FA5 is pretty much bone stock, as it's been my daily driver for the past few years, I do want to upgrade the tires before I go to the track, just because the all-weather rubber I've been driving around on probably can't take the abuse of track day driving. So, I suppose it's time to head to the tire shop.
Here we are at Tony's Tire Club in Westminster, California. Tony always takes care of my friends and I with all of our wheel and tire needs. So let's get this tire situation situated.
It says made in Japan right there. That's how you know it's good. Oh my god, you're peeling my sticker off.
So as you can see, the tires I've chosen to start off this build are the Falcon RT 615Ks. It's a slightly older compound that has since been superseded by the RT 615K Plus, but still they were on clearance and the price was too good to ignore. These Falcons are one of a dozen or so tires labeled as extreme performance summer tires. Now, Japan calls them S tires, and Europe tends to call them semi-slicks, but here, when you walk around the paddock of an autocross or a track day, and you hear people talking about street tires, these are the kind of tires they're actually talking about. Most all of these tires feature a 200 treadwear rating, which complies with the SCCA's street tire autocross classes, as well as a number of time attack and amateur motorsport rule sets. They're street legal, but they're clearly intended to take the abuse of track day driving. These Falcons, as I mentioned, are nowhere near the grippiest of the bunch. However, they are a solid tire, and they should be a perfect fit to set some baseline lap times for Project Civic Si. So, we know the car, we know the goals at hand, and we know the tires. Sounds like it's time to hit the track.
Okay, so we are on track for the first time with the Civic. It is still very cold outside, and I've been informed the track as a result is still very slick. Standing yellow flag. That's okay, we're really excited here to kind of get a feel for the car. My lap timer isn't even turned on. Really just here to kind of give a driving impression. And so I do have to clarify that when I was autocrossing this car back in 2016, my biggest issue was with the brakes. I once actually had the brakes catch on fire at an autocross. And to expand upon that, I once did try to go to a track day in 2016 with the car, basically in full autocross spec with a big rear sway bar, really sticky tires, the whole deal. And everything was great and again until I lost my brakes. So that's really my biggest concern here. Well, that's okay. We're just here to have fun, and to be honest, there is so much traffic right now that like I was saying, there's so much traffic right now because it's the first session that I don't expect to be going particularly quickly today. Motor feels great. Really, again, taking it easy. First time on the track, new tires. Balance the car feels pretty good. Obviously, there is a pretty noticeable understeer bias to stock front-wheel drive car. But I'm not really running into that as a particular issue thus far. I do already smell brake pads. This is probably going to be the only hot lap I get for a little cool down. Smelling brake pads now. off for a little bit. So I do have to say that these cars have a really sensitive ABS system, and so I have to be very careful to not play into the ABS, because it's not a very nice ABS system. It's very sensitive, very prone to going into ice mode and kind of not giving you the control you need. Because they can take the abuse, the bumps. And I think these stock shocks with nearly 110,000 miles have seen better days. To be frank, the roll is not as bad as I thought it would be. It honestly feels like with just a shock absorber upgrade, this thing would cover a lot of ground pretty quickly. Thus far, the motor and the trans seem pretty good. Although, as you might expect from a K20, if you're not in the right gear on corner exit, it really struggles. See there? I was in third gear. I really should be in second, because even at 4,500 RPM, this thing doesn't have much in the way of torque. Peak torque is at almost 7,000 RPM. And so right up until the VTEC point, this thing just isn't going very fast. But overall, the handling balance feels pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with it. Apply power mid-corner, anytime there's any sort of bump or broken pavement, the front of the car hops around pretty bad. Again, I think good shocks would solve a lot of that. I think a shock absorber upgrade is probably one of the first things I'm going to be doing here, along with probably some better brakes. But beyond that, the car feels okay. Motor seems fine, coolant temp hasn't budged. And there's the checker. And that is the first session with the Civic Si. Not bad, all things considered. It basically amounts to the things I thought. It definitely needs new shock absorbers. It definitely needs a brake upgrade of some kind, because it's more than pads. It's definitely more than that. I feel like these stock rotors are just cannot handle repeated track abuse with a car this heavy. But beyond that, the handling balance of the car seems fine. It feels like it's being pretty hard on its front tires, which is not entirely unexpected. But again, I think good shocks, a really good alignment, and maybe some wider tires up front would help mitigate that. Actually, pretty impressed with the stock seat. Usually stock seats are kind of a disaster on track, but I don't think this thing has enough grip yet to where it's really a problem. Overall, pretty positive first impressions. Alright, so we are in session 3. I was able to get a good look at my lap times. Finally, after my data logger disaster, and I'm running a 134.8, which can be best described as slow. So I think based on the second session, if I do really strongly, I can knock out about a 133, give or take. But with me behind the wheel and how much I suck at driving this track, I think that's about all I've got in it. Okay, that wraps up a long day at the streets of Willow Springs. My first shakedown with Project Civic Si. Overall, things are pretty good. I ended up running a best lap time of 134.6, which is a time. It's not really as fast as I was hoping for, but that's okay. It's a bone stock car. It also does show me a few areas of improvement. You might have heard my commentary. There's definitely some things I need to be upgrading in the future, and I will be upgrading in the future. And that's it for this episode, so stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.